What do you make of this
Holy
Kevin Warren
crap.
story?
Well, I think obviously the Big Ten is losing an incredibly talented individual, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the minimum. I think if you're the Pac-12, this is phenomenal news. I think you're thrilled to hear this. I think I think it's a window of opportunity. You have a couple days here to, I don't know, to get on the phone and like try to sway some TV, executive opinions maybe. Hey, Kevin Warren just left the Big Ten. They're in trouble. Come over here.
But in all seriousness, get into that a little bit. If you look at what Kevin Warren means to the Big Ten, I mean, he negotiated the largest television contract in the history of college athletics. I mean, this is a big deal now. And frankly, the work has been done, right? But I think the next biggest step is getting Oregon and Washington into the conference.
Yeah.
And I'm curious who the next guy is to do that, because this is no small job. The Big Ten is one of the premier jobs in all of professional sports. And Kevin Warren just walked away to be the president and CEO of the Chicago Bears. Jake, I think this is a big deal. And I think if you are the Pac-10, it gives you you feel like it might give you a little bit of a lifeline.
Yeah, I just think it's an opportunity in time. I think that it's very rare that the Big Ten has any sort of drama or issues or really any sort of weakness, if you will. And I think that the Pac needs to take advantage of this. And I think they especially need to take advantage of it because they know that Oregon and Washington are on the clock as far as being in their conference and not being in the Big Ten. So to me, I just think I'd be on the phone, stirring the pot. Like I'd be on the phone saying things like, hey man, like the Big Ten just lost this juggernaut of a commissioner to the NFL. We have some great things happening here. Like let's put this together. And I'd reignite the Amazon conversation. I'd recall ESPN, Fox, like everybody, call them, do it. Like get told no if you have to. Like that's what I would be doing.
But I don't think it puts you in that position. I truly do not believe it puts you in that position because I think you still have a membership problem and a viewership problem. I think what it puts you in position to do is you go to Washington and Oregon, and you say you're going to be our flagships now. We're going to give you a larger cut. Stay in the conference. Big Ten's coming apart. You don't want to go there. Stay with us. Let's get a grant of rights done right now. That's the phone call I'd be making. Fox and NBC and ESPN are not going to walk away from any TV deals that they have now. My feeling is this gives the Pac-12 an opportunity to stay together. Yeah. And it depends, though, who takes the job in the Big Ten, because I think your first order of business in the Big Ten, and I could be wrong, but I think your first order of business in the Big Ten is to go ahead and get yourself a power player. And I think when you look at Kevin Warren and what his absence will mean to this conference, I think this is a big deal. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how you recover from this. I don't if you're the Big Ten. Kevin Warren is an operator. There's no doubt about that. And I think when you start looking at the way that the Big 12 is operating right now with your mark, and you start looking at the weakness that is out west in the Pac-10 with George Kliavkoff, I think you're absolutely in a position where you have to go hit a home run. Mm-hmm. You got to put an interim in there that can do the job, and then you got to go get a titan of sports or business to go run this conference.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I just think that the Pac doesn't have a lot of options. Like if I'm Washington and Oregon, I've probably already made up my mind that I'm leaving. And I agree. I would call them and I would do what you said to do. I would. But I also think that I don't know, maybe I'm naive, but I just think, anytime you're talking about contractual situations and a factor changes in the human being aspect of that contractual agreement, things change, things shift, things can happen. And so to me, yeah, you're right. ESPN and Fox and all the power players in distribution are not all of a sudden just going to tear up a contract because Kevin Warren's not the commissioner anymore. That's not going to happen.
But doesn't this also beg the question of what happens if Jim Harbaugh leaves?
Yeah.
Doesn't this also beg the question of this is because let's truth tell on the Big Ten now. This is a weak conference football-wise. And again, I know that Ohio State took Georgia to the limit. Okay, great. They still didn't beat them. And you have 4 straight championships in the SEC. When you go back and you look over time and it's Bama, LSU, Georgia, and I don't know anybody that's not taken Georgia to three-peat here. It's going to be 5 years and the SEC is going to win 5 championships.
Yeah.
You just signed this massive TV deal, but for what? That's the question that I have in my mind. How good can the Pac-10 be versus what the Big Ten can be? Because I see a huge ceiling for the Pac-10, and it's pushing down. Mm-hmm. I look at the Big Ten, and I see huge growth. I see a very high ceiling for the Big Ten. I think if you are the Pac-10, you have got to get Oregon and Washington to sign their grant of rights, and you've got to immediately get SMU and San Diego State in the conference, because that's your path to survival. Because this thing with the Big Ten today is a big, big deal. This is a big, big deal. And there's always people that are going to show up, and they are going to take advantage of gaps like Kevin Warren leaving the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. And the question is, who's going to step up into that spot?
Yeah, and I think that, it's this off season for college football is going to be really dynamic and really interesting. And by the way, good day if you're a Chicago Bears fan, right? This is really exciting news. I think it's really nice to see someone come in who is a power player. That's awesome to see finally. And I think if you're Justin Fields, you're really excited about this. I would think, but
I would think,
who the hell knows, right? But yeah, I mean, I think for college football, it's unfortunately one of these situations where it is dominated by the SEC, and I do agree that who you hire is really going to set a precedent and set a standard, because if you hire anybody less than Kevin Warren, anybody who's less in ability, than Kevin was, you're taking a step back, and that's just the reality of the situation. And if I'm being honest, I do think it helps that Kevin was such a dynamic personality. I do think it helps that the guy did so much for your conference. He took your conference to this next echelon and really led college football financially and off the football field. Now, you're right. You lose him and you suck on the field for the most part, and the SEC is as dominant as it is. That's not a great look. So this hire may damn well be one of the most important hires you've ever made at the conference level.
Yep. Let's see. T. Lawrence Gragston. Big Ten got the 7-year, $7 billion deal already locked up. We'll be fine. Well, I'm not even saying that you're going to lose that deal. I don't think
we're not
saying
that. No.
But the question is, what happens to the next deal? Because if Kevin Warren leaves and your business model, because he's an operator. Again, he's a guy that grows business lines, revenue lines. He's an operator. So the question is, who do you replace him with? And I think the other big question here is, can you raid the Pac-10 anymore without Kevin Warren there?
Yeah.
Theoretically, Kevin couldn't figure out a way to do that without taking money from his constituents, which was never going to work.
Yeah.
So the question is, does the next commissioner of the Big Ten come in and immediately try to get a streaming deal with an Amazon? I know that's really interesting. That is very interesting. What does NBC say about, Pac-12 After Dark, which they're now turning into Big Ten After Dark with USC and UCLA?
Yeah.
To a streaming deal with Amazon. That's a huge question. It'll be very interesting to see how all of this plays out. Essay says George Kliavkoff's weakness have been magnified since Yormark became the Big 12 commissioner. Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and I think when Yormark is putting on speaking clinics repeatedly, both at a dais and on the field after the Big 12 championship game, I think it just solidifies that take for sure.
Yep, I agree. Lopes fan Gabe, GCU alum out here leading the sports news cycle. Congrats, Kevin, and to the Bears.
Yeah, man.
Kevin Warren's a high caliber dude. That is a guy that I like. That guy. He is. I'm happy as a Bears fan. I'm happy about that, because I think when you look at the major issue facing the Chicago Bears right now is their stadium situation. Soldier Field is just not a viable revenue alternative. And I don't know that rebuilding, there's a new model out for the Bears to get a dome stadium essentially at Soldier Field. I don't know if that works or not. They bought Arlington Park, the old racetrack out in Arlington Heights.
Yeah.
For the obvious reason of creating a sports and entertainment district. But I don't know. Chicago Bear football should be played on the lakefront, man.
Agreed.
And If they can get a deal done at Soldier Field, I think you should get a deal done there. There's no doubt about that. We'll see. Nathan Sharp says, alternative take, the Big Ten is such a good conference that their executives get more lucrative positions afterward, and so they attract better talent. Oh, absolutely, that could be.
Yeah, that's part of it.
I think it is a really good gig.
Well,
I don't think there's any doubt.
Listen, what the Big Ten solidifies every year, repeatedly, is that winning on the football field doesn't matter if you're a business operator. Like, winning on the football field helps when you win. It helps that Ohio State's in the playoff damn near every year. It helps that, like this year, it helps that Harbaugh in Michigan got to the playoff. But it is not necessary per se to win national championships to get $1 billion or $7 billion deals done. Like, what matters is branding and value and viewership. So even if you suck but you're getting viewers, you're still going to get the huge deal. That's what I think this shows you.
Power resides, and this is our conversation about Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Power resides in the SEC.
This is Coach Saban.
If you don't embrace that, you're going to fall further behind.
Yeah.
And I did a short yesterday here on our YouTube channel about why people hate Nick Saban. Well, Nick Saban put out his top 5 teams, his final top 5 teams, or his top 25, and he left Tennessee out of his top 5. So, of course, Kirby Smart leaves Alabama out of his top 5. And it's like, this is a game that we all play. Are you really pissed at Nick Saban because he left Tennessee out of his top 5, Rocky Top? Is that why you're really pissed? Rocky Top, tell me this right now. You're really pissed at Nick Saban because he didn't put you in the top 5. No, you're really pissed, Rocky Top, because Nick Saban's better than you. You're really pissed, Rocky Top, because Alabama's better than Tennessee. You're really pissed, Rocky Top, because even if you're in the top 5, it doesn't mean a damn thing because you're not as good as Alabama and you're certainly not as good as Georgia right now. And by the way, Georgia, congratulations on your 2 national championships. You're still not on par with the Sabanator.
Facts.
So you can go ahead and hate on Nick Saban. You can go ahead and hate on the fact that, it's an SEC bias. Okay, sure. But is it really a bias when they're the biggest line in the kingdom? Because they are. College football is dictated by the SEC. The SEC is dictated by Nick Saban. Period. Yeah. Ask Jimbo Fisher.
He's the benchmark.
The SEC is dictated by Nick Saban. It is what it be, and there's nothing you're going to do about that.
That's how I look at it.
There's just nothing you're going to do about that.
Yeah.
It's
true. I mean, it's 100% true. And I think that the true measurement of who controls something is, whether you're talking about them when you have success or not. And I think everybody was talking about Alabama, A, getting snubbed in the playoff, but then B, in the bigger picture, that it is untrue that Georgia, has taken over and controls everything, because the fact is even with back-to-back national championships, they're still now just barely dipping their toe in the water of what...
Just barely.
Just barely dipping their toe in the water of what Nick Saban has accomplished. And that kind of puts into perspective the mountain you have to climb. And I'm telling you, and I know he's a Georgia alum, I get it, but David Pollack running his freaking mouth on ESPN, sitting next to Nick Saban in his Geico blue suit, probably was not the best idea for next year's college football season. I'm just going out on a limb, but talking a bunch of junk to the old Sabanator probably wasn't that good of an idea, David. Like, it probably would have been better to say, hey, coach, with all due respect, you've accomplished a ton, but I personally feel like Georgia's in control. If you had said that, I think you'd have got a pass. But sitting here saying there's no way Alabama's in control, there's no way that it's not Georgia, we get it, man. You just woke up a sleeping giant who took a couple of years off and hasn't been working as hard, and now he's back on the train, and now he's coming for that ass again. And that's what I think nobody wants to talk about. It is that easy for Nick Saban. It's easy to build an NFL caliber roster to play for a national championship in college football, because that's what it is. Does anybody dispute that Georgia's an NFL roster? Does anybody dispute that? Hell, we had an argument earlier this week about the greatness of the god Stetson Bennett, and that he's going to do amazing things.
No, we had an argument that you
dude.
hate Stetson Bennett.
I know the guy didn't have a locker when he signed up, but come on. Come on, dude.
Well, look, it's Alabama.
Roll Tide.
All right, so there you go. The breaking news this morning right here on the show that Kevin Warren is going to become the next president and CEO of the Chicago Bears.